Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Overwatch video. I'm going to be talking about Kotaku's interview with game director Jeff Kaplan. It's where he talks about the competitive mode, the maps and hero release schedules, the skin controversies, Overwatch porn, and Sombra. There's a lot of interesting stuff in here, especially if you just play the game. Like, I'm not very into the competitive mode, but there's a lot of insight into how the Blizzard team are kind of looking at how that mode will work in the future and how they want to reward players more for their skill level and not try to make it seem like you're just constantly losing and dropping skill and you're actually a worse player and stuff like that. They kind of want it to be more about the game's themes that are in more of its non-competitive modes, which are about kind of rewarding your good team play and playing the hero correctly or playing the hero in a way that's really effective. So one of the things that Kaplan talks about in the interview is the map and hero release schedules. He talks about how the game, because it's like $50 new or $40 new, it costs money. It's not free to play. It means that the game doesn't necessarily have it doesn't make a lot of money off of people or off of the team releasing new heroes or maps. When you compare it to like a MOBA, which is a game that's like its business structure is based on releasing new heroes for people to buy skins and to play them and to buy the heroes. Overwatch, that stuff is going to be free, at least for the time being. That's what the team has always said, is all the updates for the game are going to be free. Just like the new sniper support character we're going to be getting, Ana, she's completely free. So that kind of stuff is not necessarily like incentivized from a monetary perspective. And that doesn't mean that they're not going to release stuff, but it just means that the stuff they do release, they want it to be interesting and like worthwhile. It doesn't make the game kind of homogenized, which is a word he'll use later in one of the quotes I picked up out of here. So what he says specifically regarding that is, in terms of content updates, my ideal, and this is not like some promise to players because there's going to be times when this doesn't happen, but the dream to me would be that we would have some sort of awesome content or feature coming out each month. That could be a map or a hero or something like competitive play, or just like here's a bunch of new skins, or here's some unexpected thing that we came up with. I think that kind of it kind of gives you a good insight into like how the game will be receiving new updates. It's not going to be constant. It's not going to constantly just be new heroes. It's going to be stuff that they think is interesting. He mentions skins specifically, which totally makes sense to me because a lot of players who have been playing a lot of the game have probably bought a lot of the heroes or a lot of the skins and stuff that they already wanted, and there's probably less that they actually want to spend their credits on. And because you're constantly playing and getting the loot boxes and earning credits, it makes sense that you're going to want to have new skins and stuff to buy. So it totally just like, I could see them releasing new skins all the time. I think there's even there's something going around that they're going to be releasing skins next week. Or not next week, this next month, but I'm not sure. Either way, like even with Ana, she's going to have new stuff to buy too. So they have to have a way to kind of counter the kind of pooling of credits that all the players are going to be having. At least all the players that have been playing since the beginning and probably have been spending them a lot on the stuff they already like. The next point that Kaplan talks about is the skins. One of the things they've been thinking about doing, or still thinking about doing, they thought about doing before the game came out, is actually changing the character when you choose a new skin. So, for example, like Pharah, if you chose a different skin, and they actually were trying this with the Native America one, to like actually change who she is. So she's no longer Pharah, she's the same hero, she still has all the same abilities, she serves the same role, but she's a completely different character in the universe. And they said, or Kaplan said in response to this, that one I think is still up in the air, but it's a really fun discussion to have because it opens up the creative space and it also allows us to add more characters to the Overwatch universe without necessarily constantly bloating the gameplay or worrying about homogenizing the gameplay. Which is a great point. I think that's actually a really smart thing, and it ties into the thing before about the hero release schedule or just content release schedule. They could release new characters through skins. Like you could have a skin for Pharah again, where it's actually just a different character, and we get to learn about them through like voice lines and maybe just the way they have like the different. Maybe there's like multiple skins for this other character, and we could see like somebody else in the lore, I guess, and be able to kind of experience something new that is still tied to that hero that we already are familiar with. And that's kind of one of the big points that Kaplan made in the interview, is that the game is very much about heroes, and the team wants to keep the game very like about the specific heroes that you are like comfortable with, and and you can like, it keeps the game competitive and fair in a way, and so they don't want to keep adding stuff to it that would kind of dull that. And so it makes sense to be able to change the characters and to have different skins, and to occasionally add a new hero that maybe tweaks a little bit of like your idea of like a support with Ana, for example, a sniper support. That's something different that we didn't have before. So it seems like content releases for the game are going to be like just interesting tweaks to the game, and if they're not that, then they're going to be something that maybe just is kind of worthwhile in a different way, maybe just through the game's story, the universe, or just as something as like easy as just new skins for a hero. It doesn't sound like the game is just going to be full of like 40 heroes and is going in like a few months and everything's going to be just full of new like maps and everything. He did kind of tease that there is something coming next month, kind of like the monthly schedule of just new stuff. They kind of want to keep that going just to kind of keep the game fresh, which totally makes sense. But yeah, so that's kind of what Kaplan talked about in the interview. The interview is really good. You should totally go read it. I'll link it in the description box. It has a lot of good stuff about the game, and I think it's a good kind of one of the interviews that really looks at the future of the game, because now that we're sort of a little bit more settled into the game being here and everybody playing it, it's kind of worth talking about like where the game will go, and because there's some concerns of like, you know, where competitive mode's going and how the new heroes will be coming, because there's some fears of like just having too many new heroes and making the game really hard to get into. Because I still see people on Reddit and on like comment threads where they're like, hey, is it too late to get into the game now? Is it like everybody's so good? And I think I think Blizzard would benefit from keeping the game pretty approachable by a lot of people because of how like their game is so much about the heroes. I think it's important that they keep it like I guess just easy for people to get into, because I just think that their matchmaking system is good enough to kind of let people who haven't even played shooters come in and find a comfortable level where they can play at. And I think that's a really big part of the like reason I play this game. And I think it's a reason why a lot of people play this game, and I hope that they kind of maintain that. But that wraps up this video on Overwatch. I have a bunch more. There's a good Tracer tips video. I think it's pretty good. It has a couple of tips on how to play her. I've got videos on Ana, the new character. She's got like a bunch of new abilities that you can totally check out in the video. And I have a bunch of other gameplay videos featuring other characters if you want to learn about them or just see some cool matches. But yeah, so I'll see you next time.